baby. What are you doing? Look at that side eye. I did not agree to be on tape.
You saw all kinds of content about choosing a word for the year, making a goal for the year, setting resolutions, setting intentions. And, you know, that's all something that we can really get behind. But it's been over a month now into 2019. And so we thought we'd take some time to kind of check in with you now that the work gets real, now that a resolution, a goal, an intention is more than a simple declaration. It's really about putting in the plan and the effort to reaching that goal. And so we wanted to take some time today to talk about what our personal intentions are, and then what we're doing to make sure we are holding ourselves accountable to those things. So my intentions for 2019 were inspired by two books that I recently read. One professional and one personal. So the professional book that I read was Culturized by Jimmy Cassis, and so I just was kind of thinking a lot about culture, and so I started thinking about like a shift in mindset that we could all have that would, I think, go really far in just building a more positive culture, no matter where you're at. And it has to do about the assumptions that we make, and a lot of times I think it is easy for us to put ourselves in other people's shoes and have some perspective and empathy, but I don't know that we are always really good in the moment about doing that. And so my first intention is to really try to support a culture where we don't assume things in a negative light. And what I mean by that is, you know, nobody wants to come to work and not try their hardest, or nobody wants to come to work and not be the best that they can be. And you know, maybe that's naive of me to think that, but I feel like I prefer to think that everyone wants to do a good job. And so I think we can assume that the teacher down the hall is doing their best. We can assume that the administrator of our building is doing their very best for kids. And I think that looking at things through that lens as much as possible could really support a more positive culture. And then the personal intention that I set for myself comes from Rachel Hollis's Girl Wash Your Face. Not my typical genre of reading, but I enjoyed that one. She talks about the promises we keep and how we are much more likely, or we try a lot harder to keep the promises that we make to other people than we try to keep the promises that we make to ourselves. And so I have set some goals for myself, one of which is to run my first marathon coming up in 3 months. And I promise myself I'm going to follow my workout plan, and I promise myself I'm going to try to accomplish something that I never used to think I could do. So keeping promises to myself and assuming everyone's doing their best.
So this year, a lot of my intentions and resolutions and things that I was focusing on are personal or have to do with running, but there are a couple of things that I'm focusing on this year that I do think will help me professionally, specifically as a staff developer. First of all, I'm really trying to focus on listening, and listening not with the intent to respond, but listening with the intent to hear. And I think that's something that many of us could probably work on. And I know personally it's something that I'm really focusing on. And then the other one is just a continuation actually from my New Year's resolution from last year. And it's a work in progress still, and I think it's worth me focusing on continuing to do that. And that is to remove the word busy from my vocabulary. It was brought to my attention last year when we say that we are so busy, when someone asks how our day is going, we say we're so busy. It doesn't make anybody feel good. And it certainly kind of sends the message to the person you're talking to that you are busier than them, or that you have a lot more going on than the person you're speaking to. And that was really eye-opening to me that, we all have 24 hours in a day, and we all make decisions about how we're going to spend that time. And so instead of responding with, oh, I'm so busy, I really have been trying to focus on responding with how productive I'm being, or sharing the things I'm doing that have meaning. And really that helps me too. It's a much more positive kind of mindset in responding as well. So that's something I would challenge a lot of people to do, to think about switching out the word busy when someone asks how your day is going or what you've got planned, and really focus on how are you making meaning of the same 24 hours that everyone has. So one thing that I do that is helpful to me as the year goes on is that every year I try to have an intention that's really focused on me being a better human. And I create a desktop wallpaper with a quote or a reminder about that intention for the year. And then every year I create a new one. And basically the wallpaper on my desktop is a slideshow of quotes and sayings and reminders about those kind of things, about being a good listener, about being intentional with my words. And honestly, seeing that every single day on my computer is a nice reminder to me and helps me stay focused and helps me keep my resolutions and not just give a good push at the beginning of January and then forget about them later on.
Hey, so my intention for this year, after being in my current role for a semester here at Twin Lakes, I've learned a lot about how to communicate with staff and students and administrators and building level principals and so forth. And I'm sort of taking all of that experience, and I'm looking to be more intentional this year in 2019. I want to be a consistent, positive influence on everybody that I'm coming in contact with. I think that it's okay to commiserate with our peers, our fellow teachers. It's okay to commiserate and sort of share war stories and so forth. But I think for me, I want to sort of move that conversation more to being positive and supportive. And whether that's just being conscious of sort of moving the conversation or having a conversation and then following up with teachers via email or Google Hangout or conversation later on where we talk about solutions and good things. But I really want to be a voice in my corporation that people can think of and say, he understands the struggle. He's compassionate about it. He understands how difficult my work is, and he wants to help. And in a role that I have, which a lot of us have, my role is a lot of coaching and professional development, and that's the kind of voice I would want as a classroom teacher, is someone that I feel is a teammate, someone who I feel is going to do whatever they can to make what I do every day sort of in the trenches easier and more enjoyable. So I'm being intentional this year about being a consistent, supportive, and positive voice in my corporation. And I'm really being very prudent about making sure that I reach out to teachers and express that kind of voice whenever I'm communicating.
So for me, I'm gonna keep it real for a second. I find it interesting everywhere, and we're in ed tech, but there's certainly a big push, like let's reduce screen time. Like, screen time is bad. And, from behind our smartphones, like, educators and parents alike are like, yes, preach, reduce screen time. It's terrible. But yet nobody's reducing screen time. And so what I would like to focus on is how we are using screen time. Is it for passive use, which is just scrolling through your newsfeed and just consumption? If so, yes, wholeheartedly, we need to reduce screen time. But if we are using technology in a way where students can create and publish and share and collaborate, we need more of that. And I'm not saying screen time in general. A screen is just a tool to accomplish that. There are other tools and things that you can use to accomplish that as well. But I want to focus on the correct usage of technology as opposed to just this passive consumption usage to really enhance learning.
So, what are your intentions for the year? We'd love to hear from you. Leave us a comment wherever you're watching this video and let us know what you're doing and working on this year to be a better educator, coach, or administrator. If you like what you see and you want to keep hearing from us at the 411, please like us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. Until then, that's the 411.